This is me thinking about how I lost my actual virginity. This is me thinking about the Netherlands, the first country that I ever traveled to. Going on a big adventure for the first time is perhaps one of the most exciting and terrifying things that you will ever do, but it's one of those things that you will only truly understand if you try it for yourself, no matter how much research you put into it before you actually do it. The thing is that I have noticed that a lot of blogs and videos and stuff like that try to generalize it, and they don't really focus on the parts of traveling that you can't control or that you might not expect. So I want to talk about some of these things so that first-time travelers will have a better idea of what they're in for, or if you have never traveled before, you'll have some more insight into what it actually feels like if you ever decide that you're going to do it. I do have to put in a little bit of a disclaimer here. The things that I'm going to talk about might be isolated to my first adventure or the experiences that I have had. I will try and make these things as applicable to everyone as possible, but just so that you know, they might not apply to you. Hello! In case you don't know who I am or the adventures that I've been on, I mentioned them briefly in the first video on this channel, which I will link, of course, in case you want some more insights to that. It's fun to read the travel blogs and watch the videos about how to pack and how to save money and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm talking about deeper things that are generally overlooked. Number one is aimed to people who have never traveled before, actually. I just want to emphasize here that travel is no longer this inaccessible thing. Obviously, this depends on circumstance. There are many people who literally cannot afford to travel. They can barely afford food. Where are they going to afford plane tickets? I perfectly understand that. There seems to be this idea that travel is this luxurious thing that only a few people ever get to experience in terms of leisure travel. There are so many different ways that you could travel that it's gotten to a point where all you have to do is just commit to it, because all of the resources are there. You can volunteer, you can au pair, you could apply for jobs internationally, you could study internationally. If you're part of the younger crowd, you could even do like the summer camp thing. There's TEFL courses if you don't fall into any of those things. There are so many different options available, and for the most part they are relatively easy and relatively inexpensive too. You just have to commit to it and work towards it, and you could go on these amazing, incredible, life-changing adventures as well. So if you're one of those people who has always wanted to travel but has never figured out how, look into your different options. It doesn't have to be a 5-star holiday. This leads me to my second point, which is that a little research will really go a long way. There is so much that you can figure out for yourself, and the more preparation you do, the easier your trip will become. Trust me. Especially when it comes to the language, if you are traveling to a country where the language isn't your native one and you don't know how to speak it. It will make such a big difference, says Kelly, who has had this entire year to learn some Finnish and hasn't bothered. Basically, before you travel, the administration, the preparation is everything. Get that right and you will probably have a smooth trip. And even if things start going wrong, you will be prepared for it, so you'll be able to manage it better. A lot of travel blogs and channels don't focus on this. They make it seem like you don't really have to put that much thought into it and you can just wing it because it's adventure, but like, don't be dumb. This leads into my next point. There is a lot of terrible advice out there, so take everything that you read with a grain of salt. I have seen multiple travel blogs telling people that you don't really need travel insurance and that you can spend your money elsewhere. Why would you want to be that stupid? Oh my God. Be careful of what you read, because some of the information ranges from pure stupidity to dangerous advice. The next one kind of goes in line with that. Travel insurance is necessary. Travel agents, not so much. Travel agents do have value in this world. In fact, for my trip to Finland, I went through a travel agency, but for a very specific reason. I used to be a travel agent, so take it from me, most of the time they are unnecessary. And you will pay more going through a travel agency than you will if you book it yourself. So think about that, because you could save yourself some money and you won't be throwing cash at the devil. Anyway, you might not realize it, but homesickness is a very real thing, and it can be triggered by absolutely anything. I felt homesick to the point of tears. Once because I was looking at a rainbow and I missed looking at rainbows from Johannesburg, and once because I started watching Frozen, the Disney movie Frozen, before the movie had even started, just because it's about sisters. I started crying like a baby, like doing my ugly cry. I mean, there will be moments when like really big, obvious things will trigger homesickness. For example, when I was in the Netherlands, Nelson Mandela died, and obviously the whole of South Africa was in a frenzy about this. Like, the entire country came to a standstill from what I hear. South Africa was all over the TV because of this news, and they were showing footage of it, and like a lot of people were messaging me and phoning me to tell me about what was going on, and I was just focusing on South Africa a lot. And so I started to feel homesick. Most bouts of homesickness that I actually had were brought about by these really stupid things, like going into a grocery store and not seeing the brand of baked beans that I'm used to. Sort of along those lines is that planes are really, truly scary. Now, I have to explain this because I am not actually afraid of flying. I love planes. When I traveled for the first time when I was 21, I was kind of a dumbass. And for those who have never been on a plane, what happens is that they get everything in order, make sure that everybody's seated, the plane is full, that everybody who was supposed to be on the plane is on the plane, that everybody's wearing the seatbelts, that there's no luggage that's loose or anything like that. And then the plane taxis. I don't know if it drives or if it's pulled or what, but it moves very slowly to get to the runway that it's supposed to take off from. And my dumbass thought that was the worst of it, not realizing that planes have to reach certain speeds on the ground before they can take off. So it taxied to the runway, and then it stopped. And it was like, oh, we're gonna take off now, wee, woohoo. And then it shot down that runway, and my heart basically dropped out of my ass. What the fuck is going on? I didn't realize that that was normal. I thought that something had gone wrong and that the plane was going to crash before it could take off. It's one of those things as well where you won't really know if you enjoy it or not until you experience it for yourself. Don't think that you will enjoy flying if you have never flown before. There is a chance that you will hate it, because it can be a very uncomfortable and unnatural thing. You might want to prepare for that as well, so that if you find that you're not enjoying it and you end up having a panic attack and there's no escape off of the plane, you will be able to control yourself or calm yourself down or have like a crutch or something that you can turn to, because it can be a very negative experience for a lot of people. The next point is very cliche, but traveling will change you. It will change your perspective of the world, it will change your behavior, it will change the way you feel about yourself. I remember with my first adventure, I had never truly been alone before that moment. And when I was walking through the airport, getting to the terminal that I had to be at, I just didn't feel like myself, because I had never been in that situation before. And I literally felt like a brand new person in the best way, but also in a kind of weird way where I almost felt this sort of disconnect with myself. You'll realize how diverse this planet is. You'll realize how different life is outside of your little comfort zone, outside of your little bubble that you live in every single day. And it is an amazing and incredible thing to do. Be prepared for a spiritual journey as well as a physical one. And again, I know that that sounds completely cliche, but that's the best way that I can explain it. On a very silly note, this is something that just never failed to amaze me. The moon looks different in the northern hemisphere than it does in the southern hemisphere. And I was used to it facing one way, and in the northern hemisphere it faces the other way. And it was the trippiest thing I had ever experienced. So be prepared to have these small things that you take for granted either not be there at all or be completely different, because there will be some things that will with your mind. Another important thing is that the media really romanticizes travel and adventure. Traveling, for the most part, is not glamorous, not to normal people like you and me. This is what the media will make traveling seem like. That flight was amazing. This place is gorgeous. I'm gonna go to the beach right now. This is what it's actually like. It's so hot. Where is my phone? I just wanna sleep. That flight was 15 hours. I'm so tired. The last thing that I want to talk about that travel blogs never seem to cover is the risk of becoming one of these people.
I'm good. Fun fact, do you know that in the Netherlands when people answer the phone, they always introduce themselves? So they'll say like, hello, I'm with Kerry, which is basically like, you're speaking with Kerry, or hello, you're speaking with Kerry, which is something that we only usually do in like formal situations or if we don't know who's calling us. But I mean, I just think it's cool that they do that, but it always felt so awkward when I was there because my first instinct is just to say hello. So yeah, it was really weird. You know what's interesting is that when I was in Finland, I never wore makeup. And maybe that is the reason why I am not married to a Finnish man. Because they never saw me put my face on, you know?
Okay.
I'm telling you that I have been to Finland. Be happy for me.
Right, everything is good to go. I just need to see your ID, please.
Sure, let me just find it. I think I might have left it at home, but I do have my passport. Can I use this? I mean, you can see all the stamps from, you know, when I went to Europe and stuff in there. I mean, it's got my ID number in it. I've travelled.
And he said that we're just on different pages. That it's not going to work out.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, when I was in Europe, I kind of went through the same thing. It's a very South African thing to become attached to people. Let me tell you about this man that I met in the Netherlands. We were together for 4 years. Did I tell you that I met him in the Netherlands? So he was a native from the Netherlands. I had a European boyfriend. I actually had two because you see I went to the Netherlands the first time for a man from the Netherlands. I have been to the Netherlands. And yes, this is important to the breakup story I'm about to tell you, but we have to focus on the fact that I have been to the Netherlands and that I was in 2 relationships with men from the Netherlands. Why are you crying so much? Listen to my travel story. I'm just going to use my flight reservation to get some cold air going there. Feels so good. Also, I'm going to Finland, which is one of the coldest countries in the world, so this heat, doesn't even exist to them. It is cold, but this is nothing compared to Finland, where I'm going, because I'm going to Finland. By the way, I bought this jacket in the Netherlands. It's going to come in handy when I go to Finland, because I'm going to Finland. Feel happy for me.
Chances are that you will become one of those people because traveling just does that to you. So be prepared to become that asshole that nobody likes because all they ever talk about is the amazing experiences they had overseas. So that's all that I could think of for now. I will do my best to see you on Friday with a book video. If not, I will see you on Sunday with another travel-related question. If you have been on a big adventure, let me know what your very first one was like. If you are headed on an adventure, let me know where you're going. And if you have never traveled, let me know why and also which countries you are interested in traveling to. I am going to shut up now. I will see you sometime soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!